Hello, my name's Sammy, aka 4-String Boy, and this is the PickGrip. So, for the last 1,090 days, I have pretty much had the same question asked to me on a daily basis. And it's basically, Sammy, where can I buy this thing on your thumb? What is this thing on your thumb? Where did it come from? How do I get one? And to be honest, up until about a month ago, my answer was, sorry, mate, I made it, so I can't do anything about it. Sorry. But yeah, that was a month ago. But now we have a different answer, and that's yes, you can buy this thing, and it's called the PickGrip. Now, the PickGrip was designed by myself and my wife, Effie, and it's produced by a Danish company called Openhagen, which, if you get confused by that, just think of Copenhagen, but without the C. Now, Openhagen are a Danish company that sell ukulele and guitar accessories. You might have seen me using their attachable ukulele stands. I pretty much have one attached on every single ukulele, and I utilize them all the time. They're also the people behind the amazing hangers that I have on my ukulele wall. But don't worry, I will make another video going into my favorite accessories and talk about these lovely things from Openhagen. Now, the PickGrip consists of two pieces. We have the actual plastic PickGrip itself, and then we have the felt pick, and that just slides straight into it. Now, you can use any felt or material pick that you like, but we did spend more than a year developing this exact pick, so I'd recommend giving it a shot first. It has the exact tone and qualities that I wanted out of a pick, so yeah, that's the one that comes in the box. I'll go into more details later, and we'll have some sound samples of basically playing with versus without the PickGrip. But first of all, a quick history lesson as to how this all came about. And we have to talk about 3 years ago when Sammy started having some skin problems with his thumb and what he had to do about that. Now, if you know me as a ukulele player, then basically, I think I'm known mostly for being a fingerstyle player. That's generally what I spend most of my time doing. And my technique involves 3 fingers. We have the thumb, the index, and the middle. Just over 3 years ago, I started a series called Fingerstyle Thursday on Instagram and YouTube. And that's basically where every single week I would, using the small window of time I had free on a Thursday between teaching, I'd write a brand new little piece, and then I'd tab it out and then basically teach it to everybody watching. Now, around Fingerstyle Thursday 15, I started to develop a problem with my thumb. And that's basically that I found that the skin on my thumb was starting to basically bubble up and peel away. It's not a nice image, I'm sorry, but it basically meant that I couldn't touch my ukulele strings without being like incredible pain. Think about how a blister feels when it's completely ripped off and you just have the raw skin. It was like that, but kind of spreading all over the pad of my thumb. Now, this usually would basically go crazy over a week, heal itself, but as soon as I touched a ukulele string again, the same process would happen. And it got to the point where I couldn't touch my ukulele strings with my thumb. It wasn't happening because it was too painful, and I kept kicking off this chain reaction. Now, as well as using my thumb for fingerstyle, basically unplucking the G and the C strings, I also use my thumb to strum. I'm not an index nail person, and that's because I don't have any nails because I'm a bass player. So it's a no-nail zone here. So I always use the pad of my thumb to strum, and that also made that impossible. Now, I've been to multiple skin doctors, I've had all the allergy tests, everything, and nobody could figure out what was causing it. The only advice that we ended up with was basically whatever was causing it, don't do that. And ukulele playing was causing that, and unfortunately, telling me not to do it wasn't going to happen. If I can't use my thumb to strum, if I can't use the fingerstyle, then I thought about resorting to picks. Now, I'm no stranger to felt picks. Back when I first bought a ukulele like 9 years ago, I picked up some felt picks as well, just because I come from a guitar and bass background where I'm very comfortable using a pick. So I thought they might come in handy. What I found with felt picks is that I absolutely adored the tone I got out of it, but I was still quite clumsy with them. They're not as sturdy as a plastic pick for flat picking, and so they kind of just lived around me, and I'd kind of forgotten about them, if I'm honest. But at this current time, that was the only way that I could carry on playing ukulele. Now this was like 3 years ago, and like I said, I was right in the middle of my Instagram series and stuff like that. I was putting out a lot of content, and I didn't want to slow that down either, so I was trying to think of ways that I could carry on playing, keep putting out content, and yeah, the felt pick was it. Now you can see the results of me playing felt pick and flat picking. If you go look for or hopefully I can put it up here, my cover of the Lars, there she goes. If you watch that video, I'm completely playing all of that with a pick, completely all flat picked, and I wrote that cover to be played with a pick. Again, that worked for that cover, but I was really into fingerstyle and wanted to push the fingerstyle first day series continuing and going on, and so I was like, how am I going to get around this? And then I remembered that thumb picks exist. They're totally a thing. So I went to my local guitar shop in Copenhagen, Acoustiken, and basically purchased some of these babies, some Dunlop thumb picks. Now, got them home, tried them, hated them. Oh my God. So basically plastic picks and ukulele strings, I hated that sound. I'm a very gentle player, and I play softly, and the tone that I like to achieve is soft. And this was just the complete opposite of what I wanted to use. Now, again, I've heard fantastic ukulele players such as Aldrin Guerrera and Brittany Piver both use thumb picks for kind of more melody line picking, and it sounds great. But for me, for the overall strumming as well with the pick, it was far too harsh, and I hated the sound. And so instantly I was kind of like, I'm in step one again. I can't fix this. What's going to happen? So brainwave number 2, I was like, well, I have a felt pick and thumb picks. There must be a felt thumb pick. That must be a thing that exists. People have played ukulele for years or played other stringed instruments for years. Felt thumb pick must be the thing. Google felt thumb pick. No, it doesn't exist, which still this day I'm baffled by. Absolutely doesn't exist. And so that meant that it only left me with one option, and that was making my own felt thumb pick. Now, outside of music, I'm pretty useless at most things, and especially physical and DIY kind of stuff. So me trying to create something that I could work with was a terrible idea. So all I did was basically spent an entire day cutting up thumb picks and slicing apart felt picks and trying basically to find some way to merge the two together so it would stay and be stable and work. Now, I didn't want to glue the felt pick just to the plastic pick, because basically felt wears down, and so that's why I've got so many of them. It's kind of, they wear down after a good amount of while, so I didn't want to have to try and rip that off or throw away the thumb pick. It needed to be easily removable. And also what I found was that the plastic pick still got in the way, even if I tried to attach a felt pick around it. So in the end, I ended up cutting the actual plastic pick part off the thumb grip. I ended up having to modify the size of it because they were far too small. But I also needed it to be a size where I could fit a felt pick in it, but also that it didn't just fall out. So that was a lot of trial and error. But in the end, we ended up with this kid. This is PickGrip 1.0. Now, at the time, I called it RoboThumb, and if you have a look at it, it basically kind of resembles the end product that I use now. It's just that this one is very tight, very stiff, and also, yes, it says the word Dunlop on it. But from my eyes, this was a success. I had a felt pick that basically stayed on my thumb. That meant I could carry on playing fingerstyle, and when I needed to, I could remove the felt pick and replace it. So, ultimate success. Now, the thing I didn't think about was basically getting used to playing with a thumb pick. So again, in my guitar life, I've never used a thumb pick. I always used a plastic pick and flat pick like that. Never used a thumb pick. So getting used to that was interesting, but also kind of judging the distance. And that's basically because when I play with my thumb, the skin of my thumb touches the ukulele string and is right next to it, but the pick kind of sticks out by a good couple of centimeters. So that meant that my thumb could no longer be down touching the string. It had to hover over the string instead. Now, the only way to get used to something like this is basically by utilizing it all the time and getting it into muscle memory. It's the same with learning anything, driving a car, opening a door, all those terrible things you have to learn. Best way to do it is basically do it every single day and just get used to it. And so, literally, from that point until now, I have used a version of this PickGrip every single day. And from the time of recording right now, that is exactly 1,090 days. Now, after using the PickGrip to play the ukulele, my thumb started to calm down because it wasn't basically touching the strings anymore. And so I tried, once it calmed down, going back to it and just seeing if I could play without the pick. And obviously, whilst I still could play without the pick, the tone difference hit me in the face. I couldn't believe how used to the sound of using this pick I was. Now, without using the pick, it didn't sound like me anymore. It didn't sound like my playing. My harmonics didn't sound the same. And so all I did was basically put the pick on and continue using it. And now, like I said, it's become part of my sound. I need it in order to sound like me. Now, from that point, every time I used the pick in a video, which was every video, I had at least one person ask me what that thing is on your thumb. And then I had them ask, where can I purchase one? How can I do it myself? How can I do all this? And that built up and up and up and up and up. And so basically after an entire year of this, I decided I should probably do something about it. Now, I decided to approach some companies with the idea of producing this PickGrip. And again, at the time, it didn't have a name, right? The name PickGrip didn't come for a while. But my first thought was flight. And that's flight ukulele, because I was a flight artist at the time. They're incredibly nice to work with and easy. So I thought, actually, they do make accessories. So let's approach them and I'll talk to Juliana and just see what she says. Now, as always, Mommy Juliana was an absolute star and she was totally cool about it. She did all the research, looked into ways of getting it manufactured, but it basically ended up that in order to pay for the mold, in order to make it, they would have to make thousands and thousands and thousands of them, and therefore pay for thousands and thousands and thousands of them. Juliana apologized and she said that's not something we can risk, which I totally understood. But she did give me the details for basically some contacts at Dunlop and some other pick companies. I emailed, they never replied. So that was that avenue dead. But then I started working with a Danish company called Openhagen, who made ukulele and guitar accessories. And basically, me and my wife Effie decided to approach them and see if they would actually start manufacturing this for us. We scheduled a meeting, we had to talk about it, and Muri, who is CEO of Openhagen, was basically like, yes, mate, I'll have a look into all the costs and everything, we'll get to it. And, well, you know the end result. 2 years later, here we are, they did it, we did it, and it's made. So it's my wife Effie that drew up basically all the measurements and the CADs and the diagrams that Openhagen needed for their manufacturing. You might hear me talk about Effie a lot, and that's because, one, we're married, but she's basically the person who does everything for me. Websites, photography, everything. She's the person that is basically behind me and makes everything look cool for me. So I'm just the music face guy, okay? She is the person underneath it all. She gets mad respect. And so we basically needed to turn this, which was the OG version, into something that we could produce. And basically this one was quite stiff, so we wanted it a bit more flexible so that more thumbs could basically fit into it. I've got quite small hands, and so I knew that for my hand size, I didn't think a lot of men would be able to basically fit their thumb into it. And so we wanted it so it was quite flexible. And so we basically 3D printed this rough idea. Might be shocking to hear, but I wanted it in black. But here it is. And again, if we look at some close-ups, you can kind of see it's a real shiny material, and also it's extremely rough around the edges. Basically, for the end result, which is here, what we have there is we went with a matte finish, so it's not as slippy as the shiny finish, and also obviously it's all smooth and very nice. So it's super comfortable to wear and doesn't stab you in the thumb. That's very good. Now, whilst that part didn't take very long, the part that did take extremely a lot of time was getting the felt pick right. Now, I've played many different felt picks from many different companies. And felt picks aren't like plastic picks. When you buy a plastic pick, you kind of know what you're getting, right? It's a certain measurement, a certain size, and you know tone-wise how it's going to sound. With a felt pick, there is no universal thing for it. It still tells you thickness and everything, but the densities are different, which means that the tone is completely different on all of them. Some are really stiff and sound kind of like plastic picks. Some are really soft and so don't give you any attack. The range of felt picks that exists. And so over the years, I've kind of crafted together what the closest that I found as being my perfect pick, but I thought we could try and get an even better one. And so what that meant was basically a lot of back and forth between Effie changing up the different diagrams and measurements of the felt picks, the different materials, Openhagen then producing it, and getting it all done, sending it back to me, who then had to basically play it on the ukulele. And even though they technically were the right measurements, they all looked good, the density felt good, that first strum on the ukulele told me instantly. And there was a lot of no's. And I felt like a real ass with that, but we're all putting basically our heart and soul into this. So I not only wanted it to give to people, but I wanted it for myself. You know what I mean? I wanted this product. I wanted to wear it every single day. And so that meant I needed to have the perfect felt pick that sounded like me. And we got there. This kit is the final iteration, and basically it's, like I said, for me, it's the perfect amount of density and just tone-wise. This is exactly what I think a felt pick should sound like. You get a good attack from the ukulele, but not so much so it sounds like a pick. I was trying to basically replicate the sound of your thumb, but louder. That's essentially what I was trying to do, and this is the kid. There's no doubt that if you've watched me play in the last 3 or 4 months, you've heard this thing in action. And so, as of a month ago, we finally finalized the PickGrip, and it was released by Openhagen. And now finally I can answer that, where can I buy it? Just with a link, an easy option. So yes, you can buy it, and this is available from Openhagen's website here. In the box, you get 1 PickGrip, and you also get 4 felt picks. Like I said, it's just because they wear down over time, but they still last. For the average person, they're going to last a good amount of time. Even when worn down, they still work. They just have a slightly different tone. Now, some people might prefer this tone, but for me, I just like a nice bright tone. So I like them when they're fresh. You can purchase the PickGrip from Openhagen's website, and if you use the code 4stringboy, then you'll also get yourself a cheeky discount. Now, technically, I've been using this thing for years now, so the way I sound kind of is with a pick. But just for shits and giggles, let's have a little listen to basically what I sound like with the PickGrip versus what I sound like without the PickGrip. And so there we go. That is the story behind the pick grip, and it is the thing that lives on my thumb at all times. Now, I know that wearing and having a thumb pick isn't for everybody, and that's totally fine. I made this, remember, for me. It was for my own necessity, and then I decided to release it just because I literally got asked every single day where people can purchase it. If you don't like picks or you don't want to use picks, don't worry, you don't have to. Already, since talking about it, I've had people yell at me about saying that it's not correct to use a pick. And for those people, I will totally remind you that you can play an instrument however the fuck you want. And so if you do have a problem with people playing things differently, then just keep quiet about it, mate. Because I will tell you, no professional musician gives a shit about it. Thank you so much for listening. Whether you're a pick person or not, I hope you've at least enjoyed the story of how the pick grip came to become the pick grip, what that weird thing is in my thumb, and yeah, just having a little history lesson. As always, I've been Sammy, aka 4-String Boy. Please like, subscribe, all the bullshit. Love you and have a wonderful day.